And before we start every PRSA meeting, I have to mention that we have an antitrust statement. Please go to our website and check it out to read about things we can and cannot do as members of PRSA. So with all of that said, Kara Leiterman, president of the Northeast Wisconsin chapter, is going to introduce our speaker this afternoon.
Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be introducing Sarah. I as well am excited and looking forward to seeing her presentation. So Sarah is a travel blogger and a nano influencer. She writes and creates content for the Creative and Ambitious blog on lifestyle, Midwest, and international travel. She uses her influence to promote brands and experiences, reaching over 50,000 people monthly across her social media platforms. With most of her success on Instagram, Sarah loves to help businesses grow their Instagram accounts and expand their reach. So without further ado, Sarah joins us with some tips and tricks on how to optimize our personal and professional Instagram accounts. Take it away, Sarah.
Thank you for the introduction. I am so excited to be here. I am mainly excited that someone is allowing me to speak about Instagram for like 45 minutes. That never happens. So I'm very excited to kind of share everything I've learned from growing my blog on Instagram and just hopefully helping all of you in some way or another. So jumping in, this is Instagram 101, how to grow and optimize your account. Move on to the next slide. So as Kara just said, I'm a blogger and a nano influencer. I've been doing stuff on Instagram for over a year now. So I've been growing my account. I grew it from nothing to 4,500 followers within that time period. This is just a little bit more information about me, but basically most of the things that I've learned about Instagram have been either from online resources or just trial and error, which is such a huge part of finding success on Instagram. So hopefully some of my errors can help you. The presentation will include a lot of different things. I've put in a ton of information into this. So here are some of the things that it'll include. Things like key factors to Instagram success, how to optimize your profile, how to use all of the different Instagram features, going into how to read your insights and how to kind of use some different growth strategies and opportunities to grow. I'll also talk about hosting giveaways, how to use hashtags, and then something that I'm a little bit more, I guess, skilled in would be talking about influencer collaborations and partnerships, and then also using content that users generate to kind of boost your social presence. So, and then I'll touch a little bit on the end about integrating Instagram with TikTok. So that will all be in the presentation today. And please, if you have any questions, type them in the chat. I'll look periodically throughout and hopefully answer questions along the way. Okay, so the key factors to Instagram success mainly are three things. Number one is you want to have quality content. You want to be making content that is valuable to people. So whether that's sharing about your product or your service, or sharing about your personal brand, you want it to be high quality content that is actually of value to someone. And then the other key that goes in with quality is consistency. You want to be putting out content so that you can kind of keep in your follower customer's mind, but also you don't want to kind of bombard them. So it's consistency with a balance of not oversharing and being a nuisance to someone's Instagram feed. And then the third thing, which is probably the most important part about Instagram, is you have to be willing to learn and adapt, especially when they roll out new features and things, because the new features that they release is the best opportunity to grow on Instagram, because anytime they release a new feature, they essentially push it more with the algorithm and how Instagram works. So if you're willing to try the new things, which can be hard to get a hang of, but if you try them throughout, it can really boost your social profile. So optimizing your profile. So there are certain things that you can do to kind of make your profile seem more credible and less sketchy. And I say this specifically because there are businesses out there that I've seen that I go to their profile and there's just not a lot of credible information on it. And I don't know if it's a real account or a fake account. So all of these things that I've listed out are ways to build that credibility with someone who's coming across your profile for the first time. First, you want to have a really clear name on it. So whether it's for a personal brand, you would include like your name, like mine is right here. With Sarah Elizabeth, I have my name on it. And then also my blog name is my handle. So you want to have a clear name, even if you have like a business name or something. If you are the person running it, you want to have a name on there somewhere. So when people reach out to you, they can call you by your name and know who you are. And that's more for smaller businesses, I should say. If you're a large brand, definitely just leave it with your brand name. Then you want to list in like what you do, the people that you serve, or who your account is for. So for mine, I have that I'm a travel blogger, and then I have a little spiel about what I do. So you want to be very clear and have that in your profile. You want to also list your location. For physical businesses, you want to put the exact location because there are a lot of people that use Instagram to search for things like restaurants or hotels, even shops and stores. So you really want to have your physical business location if you have like a brick and mortar store or location. If it's a brand or a blog, you can just put a general location like Chicago or the city that you're in or even region. But then it just helps to narrow down like where you're from and the type of audience that you have. You also want to have either an email or a phone number on your profile, especially if you have a business account. And people can always DM you, but if you're a business, you want them to have all the information right away. And then in your story highlights, if you add in story highlights, you can actually give the person who's looking at your profile something to kind of dig a little bit deeper about your business, about who you are. So it's really helpful to have story highlights that share those things specifically. So on my profile here, you can see that I have an about me circle. And that just has information about me, what I do. And then you'll see the blog down there in the right-hand corner, and that's going to have all the links to my blog articles so people could go and see those right away. So anything like that. And I will actually go over stories in another slide, and I'll go kind of more into depth of what you can include in those, but you want to have story highlights where you're giving more information about what you do to the follower, so, or potential follower, I should say. And then you want to have sufficient posts, guides, reels, videos. You want to have content on your page so that they know that you're someone who's making content and putting stuff out there. Because if you aren't really an active account, they're not likely to follow. And then you can't really retain any of the people that are coming to your profile. And the last thing is if you have any physical products, you definitely want to set up an Instagram shop, because there are a lot of people who look for products specifically on Instagram. So it's a great way to kind of send them to your website or to buy products right off Instagram. So now I'm going to go over each specific Instagram feature. These are some screenshots of my profile. So I'm going to quick go over kind of what they look like on your screen, and then I'll go more into depth of what they should be used for and how they can benefit you. So up here, this is just a screenshot of my main feed on the left, and you'll see all the different icons. Like you'll see the little reels sign, which is the kind of movie looking box. So on your profile, you'll have little icons in the upper right hand corner that will show whether or not it's a reel. If you see a box with like a second box behind it, that's going to be a carousel post, which again, I'll get into in a couple seconds. But from the main feed, you can kind of see, what type of post they are. So that's why I wanted to show you that right there. The second screenshot in the center of the page is the Reels page, and how it would be shown on your feed, or I should say on your account. And then on the right, all the way over, you'll see just a screenshot of the different guides that I have on my profile. So if you're getting into Instagram and you're learning about it, you'll hear a lot of people call posts static posts or carousel posts. So they're very similar in the sense that they're photos that are being shared, or sometimes carousels can have videos in them. But static posts just essentially mean that they're going to live on your profile forever until you decide to take them off. So they just really serve the followers that you have right now. And then when you use hashtags and things like that, you can kind of reach more people, but mainly it's to serve who your current audience is. And again, these can be edited photos, they can be infographics, they can be, screenshots of tweets, they can be quotes, but they're posts that stay on your feed the whole time. Carousel posts are going to be 2 or more photos. So they're ones that you'll swipe through when you go on your profile, or in your feed, I should say. They also stay on your Instagram grid, but only the first photo shows. So it's a great opportunity to kind of go more into depth about a topic. So if you're, doing an infographic, you can have like a summary on the first slide, and then they can slide through the rest of them and get more information on the topic that you're discussing. It really just allows you to add more information without posting, tons of posts in a row. And if you use carousel posts where you post more than 2 in a single post, you have higher reach on Instagram just by posting 2 photos, because Instagram sees that as being different photos that you're trying to share. So they will show carousel posts a little bit more than static posts. Let me grab some water quick. So stories, as I talked about before, you can have story highlights that live on your profile also, but stories really, besides the highlights, stories allow you to kind of give behind the scenes content and just go they're a little bit more fun and less edited content than what you would put on your feed. So it builds more of a relationship with your audience. So and it also increases your account engagement if you post them throughout the day, because that's constant content that you're putting out there for Instagram. Stories can also be a great place to do market research, because you can add different stories or different stickers that allow you to have your audience vote on topics. You can have a Q&A there where they can type in their questions and you can respond. So stories actually is a great way to engage directly with your audience. And then for every slide that I have about the Instagram features, you'll see that I have the benefits of what the feature is used for, and then also content ideas. So different types of things that can be shared there, or types of content that does really well in that format. So like I mentioned, you can do Q&As, stickers. A lot of people share about their daily habits or routines. And again, less edited. It doesn't have to be picture perfect. It can be kind of in the moment. A lot of people like to see things that aren't perfectly edited. So stories is a great place for that. Q&A is a great way to build trust and credibility with your audience. And it also directly serves them. If they have questions or need help with something, this is their opportunity to ask you questions directly. So it's a great feature to be able to use. You can do it 2 different ways on Instagram. You can do it in stories with stickers, like I just mentioned, or you can also do it on an Instagram live video. So there's an option when you go live to actually right before you go live, you can put that you want to have a host a Q&A, and then people can ask you questions live and you can respond to them as you go. And that brings me to Instagram Lives. So Instagram Lives are a highly engaging form of content, basically because it's in real time. There's not a lot of editing. It's very realistic. People see you in your normal everyday life. And it allows you to talk directly with people too, which is a great positive aspect of this feature. And then you can also repurpose your live video footage, and you can actually share it directly as an IGTV, which allows you to kind of have more content without necessarily producing content constantly. You can reuse parts of that video. So it's a great way to share it to IGTV, and then more people will be able to see it also, because sometimes, you want to time your lives when most of your followers will be active so that they can join in and share in the conversation. But if they can't, viewing it on IGTV is kind of the next best thing. So in Instagram Lives, you can do Q&As, you can do exciting product announcements or services, and just have really interactive discussions that help to build that connection with your followers. IGTVs are where you want to post any long form video content that you have. You can organize all of these videos into series, so you can kind of organize them and group them differently. I have a few different groups that I have. So I have a section for interviews that I do from other travel bloggers. I have a section of packing videos. And then I also have a section of brands that I work with. So you can really organize and sort your videos on IGTV too, so that when someone's going to watch your videos, they kind of can go to a section that serves what they're looking for, what they're interested in. Through IGTV, like I mentioned, I have a section where you can have like another person on your Instagram Live before you share it to an IGTV. So you can also have kind of a collaborative video where you share a conversation with another person. So it's a great way to interview people either in your niche or other people like you if it's a personal brand. But it's a great way to kind of cross promote the same content with another account. And again, very highly engaging form of content. Really, any video content now is going to be higher engagement, or is going to receive higher engagement than static posts or just normal photos. So any kind of video content you can incorporate into Instagram is really where you're going to be able to grow and reach more people. Some of the things you can share in IGTVs are you could share clips of YouTube videos. If you have a YouTube, you can share your live videos, any videos that you've edited that are too long for Reels, you could post here. Again, you can interview people, you can post customer testimonials or reviews, and then any sort of product trials. So you can really post a lot of different things in IGTVs that really add value to people. And if you catch someone's attention with an IGTV, they spend more time, watching that video. So you have them listening to you a little bit longer. You have their attention for longer than you would with a reel. So Instagram guides are kind of a way that allow you to group different posts or even products. You can link, you can do a product guide too on Instagram. And it lives permanently on your profile. If you start making guides, you'll have a tab that's specifically for guides. And those mainly serve your existing audience, or they're a great way to kind of group thoughts or posts, or definitely product guides is one of the greatest benefits from this feature. But again, if you have these on your profile and someone's finding you for the first time, this would be a great way for them to dig deeper into your content. So that's definitely a great feature. You can do destination guides if you're a travel blogger like I am, or even if you're a lifestyle blog, you can do things like that. You can also do a section on frequently asked questions too. So if you decide to post out and answer some questions in your Instagram posts, You could then create a guide and group all of those questions that are asked often together. So if someone has a question, they could go right on your Instagram profile and find the answer. And now we come to Reels. So Reels is the most recent video feature that's been added. They're short form videos. They have really been the key to a lot of people growing their Instagram to exponential amounts in the last, I think they've been out for a year, maybe less. But they have been a great way for smaller accounts to grow and reach new audiences. So if you aren't making Reels, this should definitely be something that you either start to try to do or at least learn about them, because they're really beneficial. And since it's a new feature, again, it's promoted by Instagram a lot. So they really are focusing on video content, and the short form video content seems to be the hot thing right now. So I definitely recommend learning them. But it's a great way to attract new followers and customers. It's very engaging. Since there's such short videos, you have to catch that person's attention within the first 3 seconds, or they scroll past it. So if you can find a way to make these videos really like eye grabbing and attention grabbing, you can have a lot of success with them. So you also in Reels want to have just like easily digestible content. The shorter videos tend to be easier for people to watch. They don't take a lot of attention span, and people can just kind of do it, you know, whenever, and just enjoy it. So I think that's part of why Reels is such a success right now. I do have, instead of content ideas for Reels, I have Reels tips. So I have been trying to do Reels. I've had some success and I've had some absolute flops. So there are some things I've learned that are definitely beneficial to anyone who's starting out with Reels. So like I mentioned, you want to have it engaging. You want to get their attention within the first 3 seconds. You want to use trending sounds, because that's kind of how Reels get pushed out. So if you choose songs that are trending, your Reel is going to be pushed out to more people because that song is kind of being pushed. So you want to use trending sounds. You can create either entertaining videos or informative videos, but you really still want them to be entertaining because you want people to keep watching them. And then another way to kind of make them more interesting, even if you're doing informative videos, using video transitions, video text, so they can kind of see your thought process throughout, things like that, and then adding a call to action so that they know what to do after they watch your video if they liked it. So those are some of the tips that I have. For trending sounds on Reels, it'll essentially, if it's a trending sound, it'll have a little arrow that points diagonally and up. That means it's a trending sound, and that means if you post a reel with that sound, it'll most likely see more people will see it. So and then I just have a post or a slide about consistency right now. So with consistency, a question that I hear a lot is, how much should you post? And really it depends on how, basically when you can make quality content that still adds value to people. And consistency could be every day for someone, or it could be every other day. But as long as you're getting into a schedule and still posting fresh content, and making sure it's valuable, that's really what you want to aim for. So you don't want to be pushing out content that isn't the quality that it should be, if that makes sense. And I got a question. The question, what's the legality of using someone else's popular song? So there are two sides to this. So if you are using songs that are on a reel, you can basically click at the bottom of a reel and click on the sound, and then it'll bring up a screen that shows you all the information about the sound. And some things have been made by creators, and it will say that at the top of the sound. So you can kind of use some ethics here and see if it's something, if you've heard the song a lot of times and you click on that sound bite and there's only one reel, then you know that that person just copied that audio. So you don't want to repeat off of that. But mainly when people put the music out there for reels, it's allowed to be reused, but as long as you use the right soundbite, you're giving credit to that person. So I guess that's my best answer. If that's not clear, please ask me follow-up questions. Okay, Instagram just seems like such a needy platform when it comes to types of content you should put out there, as well as quantity of content for the algorithm to prioritize your content. For anyone starting out, what would you recommend they start with? Okay, so they're asking, how would you rank them in order of impact to findability and profile promotion on Instagram? So I've added this example of a posting schedule, and basically this is the recommended if you are actively looking to grow your account into something huge, like above 50,000 followers. This is the recommended what you should be posting. If you're not looking for rapid growth, you can take a step back from that. So I would say if you're looking to grow, Reels is really what you should be focusing on. But you still want to have your static posts in there, just to be able to kind of build your account and build credibility and kind of interact with your followers. So static posts are important for keeping up with your Instagram, but Reels are really where you would want to be growing from. So Taylor Swift is okay with me using a song as long as I attribute it to her. Yes, if Taylor Swift has a song that's on Reels, it should show that it's directly from her account. So it should say like Taylor Swift and have her information. Yeah, if Taylor Swift didn't want you using her song, it would not be available for use. So you are allowed to reuse it, but when you're doing this, don't just, copy other music and take it from other sources. Use songs that are already on Instagram because those have already been kind of approved to be used, if that makes sense. The other thing, so you asked what was more important. So if you were just starting out, I would start posting your static posts because those are pretty much the easiest ones to get out there because they're just usually one photo and a caption, and you can kind of choose how long or how in depth you want that caption to be. I would start out with static posts and then start making reels. Those will help you to grow the most. But stories too. Stories are a great way to get more people looking at your account because previously they were only for people who were following your page as a great way to like serve the followers you already had, but now they're actually being pushed out. So more people who aren't following you may be looking at your stories because Instagram is actively pushing that right now. So story views have been boosted recently. So stories also are pretty important. And if you can get in a habit of posting like maybe 5 stories a day, and stories really can be a casual thing. They don't have to be intense. They don't have to be planned out. It can just be like a photo of a product or a selfie or things like that. Anything behind the scenes. It's pretty easy to come up with 5 story posts a day. But that would be the third thing that I would add in. I would really focus on static posts and reels. And then how can you manage all of this? So it is a lot to handle, especially if you're really trying to boost and grow your account. It's a lot of time. And basically my answer to this is that you use a scheduling platform. So there are a ton of them out there. There's Later, there's Tailwind has a scheduling function for Instagram now. For a while, I was using another one that was blue. But I'm using Later, and I feel like that is a really great scheduling platform, especially if you just schedule out your static posts. Those are pretty easy just to post out. If you use the free version of Later, it helps you to schedule things, but if you do the paid version of Later, it actually will tell you some analytics and insights, and it will actually help you find the best time to post when most of your audience is online to interact with it. So that's kind of the bonus of getting the paid Later account. But really any scheduling platform that allows you to kind of preview what all of your posts will be and kind of organize it will help you to manage it. Yes, you can schedule stories on Later. You have advice for working with a content team if there's a gap between the quality level of team members' posts. How do you recommend bringing everyone up to a similar level of, so it looks consistent? With that, if you're managing an account and you have multiple people managing that account, I think the best way to try and get a cohesive look is going to be either having someone that approves the posts before they go out. So even if other people are making posts, one person can kind of be the cohesion manager and make sure that it's all consistent and kind of up to the level it needs to be. Which I know that kind of puts all the pressure onto one person. Or you could have team meetings and talk about, what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. Definitely setting expectations there is a little bit more of an importance. Another way that you could work around that would be to maybe team up people. So if you have like 6 people, put them in the groups of 2. And then if you have someone who's struggling a little bit, maybe put them with someone who's like an expert at it. And then hopefully they will get the quality up just by being partnered with that person. So scheduling software has an option for analytics. Are there analytics directly with Instagram? Yes, there are. And I'm going to get into that right after this. I'm going to go over strategy, analytics, and growth opportunities. So I'll move on to that right now. And thank you for all the questions. I love having the questions that I can answer because that means that I'm actually going to be helping people through this video. So this slide is just content creation made easy. These are just, if you don't know what to post, here are a ton of examples of things that you can share. So if you have a product or a service, make how-to content, especially with products, how you use the product, different ways you can use the product. Use different influencers, photographers, and creators in your area, especially if they're starting out, they're looking to actively build a portfolio. So reach out to those creative people that already love doing this and want to do it, and see if you can make a partnership with that. It'll take a lot of stress off of your content creation. And it will essentially give you more time to manage things like engagement and things, scheduling posts and more of the, coordinating work behind it. Using user-generated content is an amazing thing to do, especially from people who are like your biggest fans who you don't even have deals with, but they love your product so much, or they love you so much that they just want to share your stuff. So if you can, share some of those people and show how happy they are, it's a great way to have content that doesn't take a lot of effort to make or create. Repurposing old concepts. So if you shared something on a reel that did really well, where you're talking about maybe, how to use something or how to do something, turn that into a carousel post. And then you can have the same concept where you're sharing the same idea, but in a different format that maybe reaches other people. But yeah, so these are some different ideas. All right, on to data analytics for strategy and growth. All right, so the insights. Instagram does have insights. So they actually give you a ton of information. So if you click on insights, it should either be on the top of your profile. If you're looking at your own profile, it should be near the top by where your stories are, where your story highlights are. So if you click into insights, it will tell you a ton of things. It's going to share, you know, your optimal posting time frame. It's not very specific. It's within a 4-hour window, but they'll tell you that window. They'll share, you know, whatever content performs really well. It'll rank everything on how well it performed. It shows your account reach. It shows your follower to non-follower ratio, and how many non-followers are seeing your content. It shares a ton about audience demographics, profile activity. So it shares if someone has gone to look at your profile from your content. And then it just shows follower growth as well. So this is my insights overview from the past 30 days. I haven't been as active on Instagram as I'd like to be, but you can see I only have 4,500 followers and my account has reached 16,000. So just in the last 30 days, and I was not posting consistently during this time. But yeah, you can see just posting the different types of content and just being active, you can reach a ton of people. So I have other screenshots, how it shows down in the right-hand corner where people are consuming your content from. In the upper right-hand corner, it shares your followers versus non-followers. And in that, with the non-followers being 15,000, that's definitely from Reels and video content. And essentially you can click into each of these sections. So accounts reach, accounts engaged, and total followers, you can click into each of these and they will give you even more information. So understanding your metrics and all of this data really helps you when you go to build an Instagram strategy and getting more specific and intentional about the things that you're doing on Instagram. So growth opportunities. So I know I talked about Reels as being a great way to grow on Instagram, and really any type of video content will help you to grow. But these are some other ways that you can grow. So trying new features, definitely, again, in line with the Reels, but posting quality content consistently, engaging with your audience and potential audience members. A way that you can do that is if you're based in a certain location, you could go and either find a location hashtag or just the location on Instagram and kind of find people that are in your area and just start interacting with their content. Odds are if they see that you're commenting on something or that you've liked a couple things, they'll go to your profile and look at it. So that's also a little bit of a sneaky way to kind of reach a little bit more. It is time consuming, but if you're finding targeted people that you know will appreciate your service or your product, it's not a waste of time. So also using relevant hashtags can help you to reach other people. Collaborating or partnering with other accounts is huge. Essentially because if you're working with influencers or bloggers or an industry partner or someone like that, odds are they've built an Instagram account and they have a really engaged audience, especially when it comes to influencers and bloggers, because if people didn't like what they were sharing, they would just not follow them and not engage with anything they were sharing. So a lot of times you'll find influencers or bloggers have specific niches or things that they talk about, and then they curate essentially this really specific niche down audience. So if you can find influencers and bloggers in your niche, that's a great way to partner with them and then also access their precious, very specific audience. So collaborating, partnering with other accounts is a great way to grow. Also hosting giveaways is a great way. Giveaways, I will warn you, you'll get a lot of followers, but whether or not they're engaged followers is questionable. It depends on what they have to do to enter the giveaway. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I get to the giveaway slide. And another thing you could do is start an ambassador program. So you can start and reach out to different influencers, bloggers, you know, micro, nano influencers, and just start actively making partnerships with them and building a program where they get, you know, a little reward for sharing things constantly about your products or services. Okay, creating an Instagram strategy. So I feel like a lot of times when people talk about Instagram strategy, they are very overwhelmed. Forming an Instagram strategy really doesn't have to be a hard thing. It really is just analyzing those insights, figuring out where you're doing really well and where you're really lacking or where there's opportunities to grow. So, and after you've kind of gone through all the information, you want to define the specific goals that you want. So you have to figure out, am I looking for more followers? Am I looking for more people to share my content to? Am I trying to increase engagement? Are people not really liking what I'm sharing? Or are you looking to find followers that are going to convert into customers or things like that? So defining those growth goals are really important because then that's going to form everything that you do on Instagram from that point. And then after you've kind of gone through all of that, identifying the growth opportunities is a big part of it, because that's kind of where you're choosing actionable things that you can do to then start to form that strategy and start making these goals reality. So, and when you're doing these when you're identifying growth opportunities, you want them to really align with your personal brand, your organization, or your business. So as long as everything is within what your brand is about, that's what you want to work with. And in that sentence, I really mean if you're partnering with influencers, you want to make sure you're partnering with the right influencers that have the same values as you do, because then their audience is going to have the same values that you do. So making those decisions that are really whoever you're partnering with or whatever you're doing is very in line with your brand and your values and kind of what you're trying to do. And then from there, you make the plan on how to implement your strategy. So you go through and you figure out, how am I going to partner with influencers? You go through and make a list and you reach out to them and you schedule your content, you get a scheduling platform and things like that. But then it's just how to specifically make your growth goals happen. All right, hosting giveaways. So like I was talked about before, hosting giveaways are a great way to increase your account engagement kind of instantly, just because everyone will see a giveaway and most people like free things. So you should get higher engagement on any giveaway post. It's a quick way to grow your account following. And then it's a great opportunity actually to partner with other accounts and especially other businesses in your niche or, you know, complementary products and things like that. Just because not only will people from your page or people who find the post through hashtags will see the giveaway post, but also their audience, you know, their secondary, the other audience will also see your post. So it's a great way to kind of convert followers from other accounts to the account you're trying to grow. And then when you're hosting a giveaway, there are some legal things to do with it. It has to include the requirements for the giveaway, so what the person has to do to enter. If there's a location-based eligibility, so if they have to live in the US, you have to disclose that. You want to share the time frame of the giveaway so that they know how long they have to enter, specific with time zone. And then you want to have a disclosure that says Instagram and Facebook and maybe the company, the product that you're trying to give away are not responsible, they're not liable for the giveaway or anything that happens. And then also you want to share what the winner is winning. So in the next slide, I have an example of a giveaway that I did with a local boutique. So you'll see I've added giveaway closed because that's how I show that people shouldn't waste their, I shouldn't say waste their time. If they enter past the time, they should know they're not going to have a chance at winning. But before that, it says I've partnered with, you know, the little boutique. I've put what they're going to win. And I've also in this post added the value of the product that they're going to win. You don't always have to do that. But with this specific product, we decided it was better to advertise the value of it. But then you'll see it has the requirements of what they have to do. And there are a couple different things that you can also do in giveaways. The great thing about giveaways is you can kind of craft for what engagement you want to receive. So whether it's you want more people to like your posts, or if you want followers, or if you have them tag a friend, that means more people are going to see that tag and then see the post that you have. And you'll also see we had a bonus entry where if they subscribe to the boutique's email list, they'd have 5 extra entries. So I've seen things like that. And then also if people share to their stories, they get extra entries as well. So that's great. And you can kind of choose whatever entry requirements best serve your purpose. If you get to the point where you have like a few things listed like we had here, those followers that you gain are more likely to be engaged followers because they had to do a few things to enter the giveaway. If you just have like the photo and follow, you may get some followers that aren't as engaged because they didn't necessarily need to go and take a friend or look at anything else. So that's also something to keep in mind. You don't want to make the giveaway too hard for people to enter, but if you have a couple steps, you'll get a more engaged audience because they either want your product more or they're just willing to engage with your content. And you'll also see all the technical terms or the legal terms at the bottom saying that they aren't liable for any of it. And I've put this example on here. You can copy this note down here, this format if you'd like. This is just an example of what I've done. All right, hashtags. Hashtags are another thing that I feel like people get really overwhelmed about, but they really shouldn't. Hashtags are a great way for you to reach more accounts. And there is some debate going on right now about what is the best number of hashtags to use. So I've heard when I started doing Instagram, it was 30 hashtags was the maximum, and the more hashtags you use, the better. So that's kind of what I was told when I started. And then within this past month, Instagram came out on their creators account and shared that the recommended hashtag use was actually only 3 to 5 hashtags. They only want you sharing 3 to 5. I've recommended they use 20 because I have done some other research into it, and Later Media just did a whole kind of study into which posts perform better based on the number of hashtags that they use. And the number that they came up with is 20. So with 20 hashtags, that's where you were reaching the most accounts and getting kind of the most reach with it. So 20 is what their research found. So that's why I'm recommending 20. And I did test out using 3 to 5 hashtags for about a month and a half now. And I've had probably the lowest engagement in a long time. So I'm going to go back to trying 20 hashtags and hopefully my engagement will pick back up. So that's been my experience with hashtags. I do believe that the Later Media information that they were able to research is definitely pretty credible. So I'm going to be following that. If you have any questions about that and how I came to that decision, let me know in the chat. But with hashtags, you want to use specific hashtags that are directly related to the post that you have. So I know that some people will they'll have like the same, 10 hashtags and they put it on every post, but they're not specific to what the content actually is. And that makes it harder for people when they're searching hashtags or searching in the search function to be able to find content that's relevant to what they're searching for. And we got a chat. Okay, do you post hashtags in the body of the post or in the comments? I post them in the body of the post. And that was another thing that Instagram had come out and said, posting them in the body of the post is more effective than posting them in the comments. The Instagram community seems to be kind of split on that, but I mainly have always done it in the body and haven't seen any issues from that. So I would recommend posting it in the body, and Instagram recommends that too. But again, you want to use specific hashtags. So if I'm doing this reel right here that you see, on fall fashion. I'm going to be using fall style, fall fashion. Since I was at a Maurice's, I put hashtag Maurice's. And then I put outlet at the Dells because that is the collaboration that I did for this reel. So all of those hashtags are very relevant to what I was doing. I also used Wisconsin Dells because that was the location that I was in. But you want to be using the very specific hashtags that are relevant to what you're doing. So I would never put travel blogger on this post because it's a style post. It doesn't really have to do anything with travel blogging. You want to have them very specific to what you're sharing specifically. And then after you found specific hashtags that are relevant, you want to choose different hashtag sizes. So what I mean by this is when you search hashtags, you'll be able to find how many posts that hashtag has or how many people have used that hashtag in their posts. So you want to use different sizes. So you want to have a couple of the huge hashtags where they have like over 1 million posts. And then you want to have some mediums where they're like 500,000 or less. And then you want a few smaller hashtags where you know that your post is going to show up because there's not as much competition. And the reason why you do that is because you want some guaranteed exposure from that hashtag. And then you want the chance for your posts to go viral by posting them in the bigger account hashtags. Because if it's a bigger account hashtag, or if it's a bigger hashtag, there will likely be people following that hashtag. And that's a great way to get into their feed and reach new people. So using the different sizes really allows you to, expand your reach, and then also have a chance at reaching a ton more people. So that's kind of the strategy that I recommend using. And a big one is don't repeat the same hashtags in every post. Even if you post a lot of cityscapes, you don't want to use the same 10 cityscape hashtags every time, because that makes your profile seem like it's automatic or like a bot, and you might have some issues where Instagram thinks that your account is fake, or not run by a human. So I mean, you can use some hashtags over and over again. Like if I'm posting, new blog post, and I use that hashtag a lot, it's because I'm putting out new blog posts relevant to what I'm putting. But you don't want to use the same hashtag chunk every time, because that is not good for your account. And then you can use hashtags on static posts, carousel posts, reels, and IGTVs. Definitely use them on all of those, but they're not really necessary on stories anymore. You don't get a ton of reach with hashtags on stories, but the other features, I definitely recommend it. And I have some questions. Can you repeat one or two and vary the rest? Yes, yeah, definitely. But you just don't want to have the same grouping of hashtags every time, because it really should be specific to what you're posting. I'm guessing you're probably not posting like very similar photos every time. Next, so on to influencer collaborations and partnerships. And then I'll talk about the benefits of influencer partnerships and things like that. I am running out of time, so I'm going to try and get through this. Please ask questions if you have them, though. So why work with influencers? It's a great way to get content that is fresh, unique ideas that relates to a very specific niche customer type, or consumer segment, I should say. It increases your reach because you're connecting with another account, you're sharing, content that is going to be shown to their account followers and yours. And oftentimes when influencers post about products, it helps convert to sales much better than if you're just constantly selling on your profile. If an influencer really loves your product and shares it, it's more likely to do better in sales because they're not selling. They're selling more organically and not as forced. And then why influencers seek brand partnerships. You can read that if you would like. Essentially just to build a profile, increase reach, or monetize their influence. Identifying influencers to work with. Okay, so you want to start by searching relevant hashtags and locations and finding influencers that basically are already posting the type of content that you're looking for, or are at least in your location. And then you got to identify if there are specific like styles or aesthetics that you're looking for. Determine the campaign specifics. So you want to know what your budget is, if you're promoting a product or a service or just yourself. And then you want to determine what you want from the partnership. So if you're looking to grow more followers or something like that, maybe you would do a collaborative giveaway, as an example. And then from determining all this stuff, you want to choose influencers that align with your goals, with your style, and will really just represent you the best. There are a ton of different levels of influencers. Nano influencers are less than 5,000, I believe. Micro influencers are 5,000 to 10,000, and influencers are 10,000 and up. And I've also written out right here the different levels of influencers and what they typically require, what they're looking for. It's a lot easier to get partnerships with smaller accounts just because they haven't monetized and they really are just looking for experience. So that's a great way if you have a very low budget. But if you want higher reach and you want it faster, you should look at doing paid collaborations with accounts between 5 to 10,000 or higher. The do's and don'ts of Instagram partnerships. We have a question. What should a contract or agreement with an influencer include? So I don't have any legal specifics for what the contract should include, but as far as an agreement, I know basics of what you should be upfront about. So I'll talk a little bit more on this slide and hopefully answer some of your questions, but I'll try and elaborate on that after this slide. When reaching out to an influencer, you want to make sure that you're either following them or have engaged with a few of their posts. You want to use their name when you reach out to them, especially if they're a bigger account. A lot of times if an account sees that you don't even know their name, they're not going to respond back to you because you don't care enough about them to learn their name, especially when it's like very visible in their profile. Give specifics about the campaign and about your business and why you want to work with them. And you have to be upfront about whether it's a paid or a non-paid opportunity, because some people are looking for non-paid opportunities, especially from brands that they love. And some are just looking for paid opportunities. So you'll save yourself a lot of time if you're upfront about that. And then other things, what not to do when you're trying to propose a deal or a partnership. So never ask for them to pay shipping. That is almost always a scam. There are a ton of companies out there that ask people to pay for shipping, and they ask them to share and create content and promote their product, but then they ask them to pay for the shipping, and it's usually pretty high shipping, so it essentially covers the cost of the product. It's scammy. It's not a very respectable way to build ambassadors or build a program like that. Don't do that. Offer exposure as payment for accounts larger than 2,500. So I mean, exposure is a great thing, especially for smaller accounts. But if someone's actively growing and putting a ton of effort into growing their account and you offer them exposure, they're not going to take that very well. And they probably won't ever want to work with you because you didn't see them as valuable when they were smaller. Also, don't write DM me on any of their posts. It's kind of creepy. I don't recommend that. If you have something that you want to talk about, send them a message. And tell them what you're thinking and what you want to talk about. And then don't ever tell them that they're not worth what they're asking or requesting for, because people who are creators online do put a ton of work into their content, and it's almost sad when people just tell them that they're not worth that. Instead, maybe try saying, that's not really in our budget. Could we form a different type of partnership? But just being honest and upfront about that will save you a ton of time and energy. So these are some of my do's and don'ts. I talked a little about utilizing user-generated content. It's a great way to build a sense of community. by sharing those different posts. It's super easy content just to be resharing something someone's already shared. Just make sure that you ask permission before you share it on your account, especially if you're like a professional organization. It's shady if you just share things without asking. And it costs you nothing, essentially. Saves you time and increases your reach by tagging that other account and working with them. Oh, let me go back. Integrating Instagram and TikTok. So TikTok is another short form video platform that you can really have a lot of growth on and reach a lot of people through this platform. A great way to kind of integrate that is by adding your Instagram handle on your TikTok profile. TikTok has made it really easy to connect the two by adding a button on your TikTok profile that will bring them to your Instagram. You can also use the same footage or videos that you've taken from your Instagram Reels, but be sure to do independent research on TikTok for the trends that are on TikTok. TikTok typically has trends that are about 2 weeks ahead of Instagram. So if you're posting trends that are on Instagram, you're probably a little late for TikTok just because the way that the trends are adapted. So just be aware that TikTok is sometimes ahead on most of the trends, and you don't want to be behind the trend because then you're not really getting any benefit from it. So, and what I mean by that is trending sounds and trending hashtags. And then for TikTok success, you want to be consistent. You want to be keeping up with those trends, posting stuff relevant to those trends. And really people want to see engaging, entertaining content. And then my last tip for TikTok and Instagram is not having like the TikTok logo on your Instagram Reels or not having the Instagram logo on your TikToks. So with that, that's all my advice. Is there any other questions?
Hi, Sarah. My name is Gabby. I actually have 2 questions for you. So one's for work and one is personal. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to dominate all the time. I want to respect everybody. So I'll start with the work one. I am a one-woman social team in the like healthcare and insurance space. And we don't have a very sexy product or service that we put out there. And what has been pitched to me or requested is that I launch an Instagram for employee voices. So it's really more about the employee experience. And I would need so much content to fulfill that platform to basically build enough online clout for it to have any sort of impact on our recruiting strategy. Just hearing my concern and my bandwidth issues with that very short scenario, I realize I'm leaving a lot of information out. What are your thoughts about how I could kick that off and be semi-successful?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's a great idea because once it's a reality, it will help people to kind of be engaged and see kind of that type of content. But I guess more is what I see it being is more of a way for you to serve employees that you already have, because it will be a little bit harder for you to get people who aren't involved with your organization to look at an employee type of page. But it would be a great way to kind of interact with the employees that you already have and could help with retention and things like that. To kickstart it, I would say probably you have to get other employees involved and just try and, maybe send out some emails, see if anyone has anything that they want to share, but it definitely would be a lot of organizing since you're only one person, but getting other people involved is a great way to do that. I hope that helps.
It does. I'm taking some notes just to maybe get some volunteer ambassadors to maybe start a little Instagram committee with me. There's interest to kick it off. So I know I wouldn't be alone. Okay, so then personally, I'm a nano influencer, I guess. well, I fall in that bucket mostly just because of my follower count for my personal account, but it's kind of like when you're a chef and you don't want to go home and cook anymore. I'm like that with social media. I don't have a niche. I don't have a message. I don't have anything I'm really trying to sell. It's just more a lifestyle page, but I do tag some of my favorite brands, and they've reached out to me to ask if they can repurpose my content. I guess at what point and how would, at what point would I start asking for some sort of compensation? And I think in my gut, I know your answer, but then also how do you go about negotiating that as a beginner?
Yeah, can I ask your follower count and how, like, the scope of your profile right now?
Yep, 920 followers.
Okay. Yeah, you're definitely in that bracket. Um, I guess starting out, I would probably grow your account a little bit more. If you have accounts that are reaching out to you that want to partner with you, I mean, those are great opportunities. I would be a little careful though, because there are a lot of ambassador companies that will reach out to you that will do things like ask you to pay for shipping or things like that. I would probably focus on sharing products that you have and that you love, and then just build it from there. And just making sure what you're sharing is, important to you and relevant. Um, I hope that that makes sense, just because some of the partnerships that you can get into, they're going to expect a lot more out of you than what you want to give.
Absolutely.
Especially, it does take work and effort and photo shoots and things like that, and you don't want to do all of that for nothing. At your level, I probably wouldn't ask for like monetization yet, but definitely if they want you to share something like free products and things like that, um, maybe even promo codes to share with your followers to get commission on sales. That's kind of how I would start building it.
Right on. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, if you have any more questions, you can email me. My email is on this slide.
I totally already sent you a LinkedIn connection, so we're hooked up.
That's awesome. Okay, it looks like I have other questions. Oh, in the chat, someone asked if you can incentivize current employees to create content for you. That would be a great way to help build that employee kind of platform. Okay, does anyone else have any questions?
No more questions?
I don't think so.
I think you answered all of them. That was a fantastic presentation. I certainly learned a lot. I don't spend a whole lot of time on Instagram, but wow, especially the publication schedule, that's so much content. It's amazing.
Yeah, it can get pretty intense.
I'm not sure I meet some of those thresholds on my personal account for an entire year. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. We really appreciate it. It was an excellent presentation. If there are no more questions, everybody, we'll give you a little bit of time back in your day. Look out for some surveys from us about the content of this presentation and the others in the Midwest District Conference, and we hope to see you at some sessions down the line. Thank you again very much, Sarah, and thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank you.